powerful engage to allow the Jhin to follow up. Misfortune is
MFRL
idea. Yeah, the Rel comes through. Going to be a tougher lane matchup. And now this Nico, I don't think we really thought it was going to be a flex, but it definitely won't be. And Faker will be the final lock-in here. Could go for damage because you have a lot of peel with this Wukong, or instead, in this case, you could just go for the ultimate ability to brawl hard with this triple melee composition that has the Nico engage, and you basically can go on to anyone. The Ahri is not going to be safe. The Jace is certainly not going to be safe. And this immobile AD carry in the Misfortune has a pretty weak front line, frankly. There's a lot of ways to access and get on top of Viper here for T1. I like T1's draft here in this first game.
Both these two drafts, I think, fall apart once you start falling behind. There is obviously, when it comes to these 10 champions, I think the Gwen in particular kind of stands alone, and once you get to the free item and beyond point in a side lane.
It does, but once they get ahead, I mean, single target pick, you make that map dark, it becomes a scary, scary place. Let's jump into the rift for game one.
하나, 둘, 셋. T1, 하나, 둘, 셋.
Oh my goodness, we were missing this yesterday, but this stadium just erupted with the T1 cheers. Everyone making sure that they're here to see whether T1 can stamp that ticket to MSI. Of course, quite a few HLE fans here in the audience today, but the most popular team in this entire esport, certainly still very loud. Plate territory, it's a huge wave.
It's also a big deal that T1's bot lane actually maintains this pressure because both mid and top are not going to have prio, right? So that means there's a lot of freedom for Peanut, and he has a lot stronger ability to impact the map, especially pre-level 6. Post 6, it becomes a little different, but even post 6, I feel like Vi, there's a reason why this champion is just perma-banned, right? It makes it so easy to set up any play, even on traditionally slippery targets like the Gwen.
Oh dear. As to the skies, Flash has to be used this time around as Doran was out of dashes.
I mean, this top lane, watching it though, has just been absolute cinema between Doran blocking there with his Shroud, the Q from ZEUS, but it's still obviously going to be a Jace favorite matchup with both players playing perfectly, and Doran will be shoved out of the lane first here. Does have his teleport, of course, so it won't be too consequential, but it's a pretty significant advantage that ZEUS has already picked up. Stops the back as well.
Oh, Peanut going to be grabbing this scuttle. It is a trade of the two of those between these junglers. Oh my goodness, Chomp connects and Faker! He has to flash! Otherwise that true damage would have killed him.
You saw Zeka for a split
the consideration vision though, as Doran.
Oh dear, Doran goes into the circle. Shock Blast goes wide though, as now Doran looking to try and put on the pressure. Let's see, the snips are coming in and there's a pause!
Oh no,
no.
Like this. I feel like 9 out of 10 people say no.
Oh, there's the flash.
There it is, yeah.
So the one auto and then the flash does actually come in. As the chains are going to connect here from Faker. Finding a really good trade with the Kingslayer. Feeling like he can just shake off. Not going to risk it. Peanut on the Dragon already.
Yeah, the Dragon I mentioned earlier, especially with that play from Doran there on the flash taken away from ZEUS, just feels like a pretty easy setup. Now, I say that Owner is looking for a potential steal here.
Oh dear.
Yeah, they thought he backed because he was on the ward.
Well, he can see Peanut, but he couldn't see the health bar. As
I think
see there is Peanut, gets
a suspicion
of it. And Owner comes in. Let's see who's going to be able to take this, and it's Owner just stealing it away.
Even with the Shock Blast from ZEUS.
Yeah, not able to coordinate it, unfortunately.
That's massive.
Burst the burst that's available to the Wukong is, I think, just more than the Vi. I think Peanut there was...
I was going to say the Warrior Trickster. Warrior Trickster can help close the gap, and they will be looking for that as they have a great angle here with Carrier on the flank. He doesn't have 6, but just a root would be enough to deny Delight entry. And it looks like HANWHA Esports have just lost interest in the whole thing, and they're just going to give it over to T1.
Yep, not going to be grubs. Peanut instead just going to head towards this bottom side jungle. Look to steal that one away.
And maybe also worry because Doran does have his TP available now, right? His was a lot earlier on the cooldown. If that play had worked and they had been able to pick off Owner, I think they would have definitely gone for it, but not going to be the case as Doran is going to find each other, but obviously ZEUS really wants to get a base in, only sitting on a tier as well, whereas Doran, we could see with those plated steel caps, really getting the better end of those trades.
A lot of value out of that one. Gold incredibly even, as we can see, is now Zeka moving forward. Peanut's here though. He's even got cease and desist. It's going to be used by Faker as he hijacks it away. And there it is, returned in kind. And Zeka will finally claim the first blood.
It's a frustrating matchup to play as the Silas. You know, you get charmed like that, you eat that electrocute, and you feel like you have to go back in. You have to make it an even trade, or eventually just get worn down in the lane.
But when you just had to watch the army of monkeys heading towards the Vi as, all right, cease and desist comes out. Peanut just starting this fight as he he flashes away. Pop Blossom to stop any sort of follow-up as now Peanut is just alone in the enemy jungle. Bullet time comes through. It does get a bit of damage down, but it's not going to kill anyone. And now Faker, with that Spirit Rush available, looking to try and close in on the rest of HLE. What was that, Peanut?
Item spikes be damned. If you go in alone, 1v3 into the enemy jungle, having just 2 spike advantage doesn't really matter.
Well, now ZEUS is fighting against Doran. They, I was going to say trade ultimates, which I guess is kind of true, but Jace doesn't really have one. As Doran throws out the needlework, and ZEUS is going to be feeling okay in this matchup. Oh my goodness, it is a Hex Tech. Did give him some trouble before, as oh dear, Gumayusi could be in trouble. As once again, cease and desist comes down. He does have Flash, so he's going to use it. Bullet time coming on in, as the Cyclone there from Ona defending his AD carry. The Flash not quite working, but now Doran throwing some needlework towards Peanut, who wants to get himself away and does Vault Breaker out. Charm will connect, as now Doran could be in a bit of trouble, fighting off his ex-teammate, but no one going to die outside of Viper, who fell unfortunately in the aftermath.
Beautiful collapse there from T1, and Doran tried to cancel the VIQ from some real dire straits, but it's still T1 building the lead, getting the objective control.
Yep, money for nothing. As, okay, Delight looking for another Shattering Strike. Gumayusi on a ward. They didn't know that he was walking over there as the Make It Rain coming on down once again. Korea taking a bit of damage as the Rift Herald is on the minds of HLE. Gumayusi level 11 now as Shock Blast does so much damage. And look at this, they're just in the blender. This time Delight making something happen as Doran gets into the backside. Owner has found Peanut once again. And now the bullet time's gonna need to save them. Gwen is immune, ladies and gentlemen. That's allowing Doran to survive. But the Rift Herald's still up and T1 are gonna take even more this game.
It's Peanut again, disconnected on the other side, but it's Owner who goes for the punish, and Owner has just been shutting him down in these big fights where there's just a big discrepancy between where Peanut is, the targets he's chosen, and HANWHA Life's ability to follow up at range.
There could be an opportunity, but we need to see a more synced up HANWHA Life if they want to win this, as there comes Doran in again.
Yeah, teleports coming through from everyone. Zeka going to make his way over. Let's see whether this soul point can be denied. Hex Gates coming on in as Zeka finding so much damage. There's the steal. It's ZEUS that takes it down, and the Pop Blossom doesn't do nearly enough.
They're in the
pit. They do lose 2. They have 3 left, still alive. Shattering Strike not doing too much as Doran and Guma able to take down the Rel. And now it's even footing. Faker trying to find it. The dash cannon getting him into this fight is now Viper in trouble. The Chains land! And they try and keep him alive, but it does not work. ZEUS trying to push them away. And him and Zek, I don't think it's going to be enough. T1 win the fight, but they don't take the Drake.
I think they'll take it though with the 2 Drake lead they have and the incredible plays they had there on
and then here, Viper, I don't think needed to flash the initial needles that came through.
Oh god, the chain's gonna have to be flashed here by ZEUS as Faker doing so much work, and Owner is there with the follow-up. Hands the goat and assist, and they're going to look for a top lane out of turret.
It's again the side lane overload. We saw T1 do this so many times. Yesterday against KT, but also a lot in the last 2 years. And this time it's ZEUS on the receiving end instead of being the one that benefits from it.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily going to be, okay, Faker, if he wants to auto that turret, he might not be getting out alive. But either way, the thing about the side lane pressure too.
The health that comes through for both the Wukong as well as the Silas, but you do need to be careful with that Vi in particular. The CC chain is still there from HANWHA, but we're slowly getting to the point, as mentioned, where HANWHA, unless they get a crazy execution on the play, they're just going to be outstatted behind in items, and you don't get that much leeway because you also don't have great front line.
Well, the other cool thing about T1's comp when ahead, we talked obviously
going to help you as far as maneuverability is concerned, even with the ability to strut your stuff.
The cleanse isn't going to be enough, and the flash isn't going to be enough. You need your team to be there. You need your team, you need the setup, and you need to be the team that's getting the first kill.
Well, they're going to look for it here as Delight going to be able to use that blast cone, but he's down incredibly low and will get taken down. Possible overextension though, as the Orbit Deception does a lot of work as Faker dashing around the battlefield with his hijacked Spirit Rush. Now Pop Blossom is going to find only one, but it's ZEUS. That is a great target as now Zeka looking for the jump. The bullet time doing massive damage, but Doran now looking to get on top of Viper, who is completely alone and will get eviscerated. The wallet's so heavy here for T1, and they just take HLE out of the fight.
It was the fake out from Keria, the double fake out. It looked like it was just the clone coming towards them, but it was him.
It was him. ZEUS tries to react. But the biggest part of this is Delight dies, right? If you have that Magnet Storm, so many of these things go better for you. Maybe not the bullet time, because I think Viper couldn't have gotten any more value than he did in that one, but there wasn't any follow-up. They were so split, and so Doran just runs at Viper, the misfortunate Immobile, and now Zeka clashing with Faker.
Yeah, Chain's not going to connect here as Delight will come in, but so will Carrier. Magnet Storm picked up by Faker here, taking a fair bit of damage, but they've taken the soul point. They've gotten exactly what they want. And Faker is able to keep himself.
Insane engaged composition here from T1 with melees that can just rip you to shreds.
Yeah. Speaking of being ripped to shreds, Peanut going to try and get over the wall, but the flash is there for Owner, and he just knocks down the Vi. There is nowhere that Peanut is safe in this game.
And T1 were ready to say, we're going to trade Vi for Kalista, but the way they did it and the setup they got feels so powerful. And this Vi that has just not been allowed to be played in any of our Road to MSI. It is just our most banned champion here in the LCK. Peanut has a 0-5-2 performance on it, and T1, they're very happy with the risk they took.
Viper doesn't have his flash available.
There is also no jungler. So let's see whether HLE can try and kill T1 before they take this Baron. It looks like it's going to be impossible. Under 4,000 health as Delight goes in, finds the Magnet Storm. Let's see whether they can get the kills with the Pop Blossom. Doesn't do too much. They take down the Gwen, but this is still Baron picked up for T1. They go for the fight and they're looking to try and turn it. Kamiushi takes down Zeka. They've dealt with this Rel at the same time, and T1 say we'll just take everything.
Well, there you go. That's probably the game-winning play. They already had such a massive lead. We didn't expect HANWHA was going to be able to win that fight as Carrier potentially punished here. We're getting trolled by the observers. Owner going to check it out.
Oh, dear. No, I think it might be Peanut getting punished here just a little bit. Slowed down by the Rend. Nimbus Strike going to be coming up pretty soon here. And Faker comes on over. He's just going to escort Owner in and escort HLE out of this first game.
And we can talk about the drafts. But for me, it's just the form of HANWHA Life. They look desynced. They don't really seem like they were ready for the high tempo.
He tries to punish, and he dies, and now he's not alive here for what is going to finally be Hextech Soul here for T1. And this game could not be more over.
It could not. So that is going to be the soul picked up here for T1. They're going to be able to push in this bottom lane. They've already taken the mid lane inhibitor. And ZEUS, he's looking for a bit of bounty gold. And I assume T1 are okay with him taking it, because it's not going to save his Nexus.
We had 2 T1 predictors, and on our global side, we had several 3-0 HANWHA predictors. HANWHA Life came in as the massive favorites, but T1 having the momentum carried on from yesterday into this first game for sure. I think a lot of people are rethinking expectations after this one.
Yeah, me included, feeling a little bit silly for some of my opening statements here, because it did feel like HLE were the better team before, based on our assessment. But momentum is so powerful, and T1 in this stadium, man, just feels like they are unlocked an extra level. And Faker now picking up a Magnet Storm for himself. That is going to be 2 inhibitors. This is, of course, feeling like a little bit of ceremony, because this game is all but over. That is going to be a bit of an engage on Doran, but he does go into the mist and now looks to fight 4 people. Going golden here. Those big old scissors doing some work. There is the Magnet Storm finally. The bullet time coming in, but the wallets are so big. The pop loss are massive as well, and T1 just slaughter them in their own house, and they'll destroy it at the same time. T1 1-0 in the series.
From the perspective of HANWHA Life,